I'm Grady Culhane, the CapeCod.com News Center, joined today by a special guest and expert on local housing as the region continues to struggle with the affordable housing crisis. Alisa, do you mind just introducing yourself for our listeners?
Hi, I'm Alisa Magnotta. I'm the CEO of Housing Assistance Corporation.
All right, awesome. Thank you for joining me for this conversation today. It is a pleasure to have you back in the studio. I want to ask a little bit more about you guys have a proposed family sheltering facility for the right on the Dennis Harwich Town line on Love Lane, a former nursing home. I want to ask you a little bit more about what is proposed for that area, some of the amenities, the services that you're hoping to provide, as well as ask a little bit more about like how it factors into your overall mission goal, delivering assistance in transitional housing, especially as we continue to see these red hot real estate markets and issues with the affordable housing in general. Yeah, so do you mind just kind of giving us a quick overview of what has been proposed for that area, a rough area, the amount of people you'd like to serve, and some of the services involved?
Yeah, sure. Let me take a step back though, because it's really about why we're building or opening the shelter, consolidating the three shelters we have into this one location. And as you and I know, we were talking before, locals are hurting. There's not enough housing. There's not enough housing for the people who work here, kids who graduate from high school, our elders who want to age in place. And so as we have seen over the years of this, really hot real estate market that has attracted second homeowners here in droves, and investors who want to have short-term rentals, we've really seen this obliteration of our housing stock and our year-round housing stock, especially. And so in our company at Housing Assistance, we're very concerned about the ability to add to the housing inventory. We have a very aggressive development plan to add more inventory, add more housing, change bylaws, change zoning so that other people, other companies can add the inventory that we need so that we have a good, vibrant year-round housing community and housing inventory. But also to take care of the people who have been displaced because of domestic violence, because their rentals sold, because they lost their job and can no longer afford where they're living, and they find themselves in this really unfortunate situation. Imagine the unimaginable, right? They find themselves in an unfortunate situation where they have no friends here anymore, they have no family here anymore, they have nowhere to go but to a shelter. And so I started at Housing Assistance in 2017. And at that time, we had 80 people on our caseload that we were managing, homeless people that we were managing. They were living outside. Now we have well over 300. So and these aren't new to the area people. These are people that have lived on Cape Cod their whole adult lives that are now displaced, living in their car, living outside, moving from place to place, trying to figure out how to stay in this beautiful place that we love with their community that they're part of, oftentimes their job that they've had for years. So in our strategic planning, we wanted to always be part of the solution and be proactive. And so when we looked at our assets, we have these three shelters. They're embedded in communities. They're houses. You would not know where they are, or that they're actually a family shelter with homeless families living there. And we thought, oh, those would be great as rental properties, right? Not just building, but let's convert what we already have to year-round housing. It's cheaper. We can bring apartments and SROs online really quickly. And let's consolidate those three shelters into a new location that we can then move all of our families and have consolidated education, training, all of our staff in one location for covering shifts, sharing information, and really consolidate our resources and have a really cool state-of-the-art shelter that we can bring in partners and have specialized job training and do all the things that we dream of doing. But in our small little shelters, it's hard to do. You don't have the space. So we were approached by a broker, a real estate broker, um, in February February, what this 2023. So, February of 2023, we were approached by a real estate broker. They had they were selling the nursing home. The owners of the nursing home were all done. They had a housing or a staff shortage. They had gone through COVID. It was very expensive to run, very hard. The building was more than half empty already. People weren't coming into nursing homes, and they didn't have the staff in order to be able to bring people into the nursing home. So it was a failing nursing home. And the owners recognized that. They were looking for a partner who could come in and buy it out, that they could lease it from for a short period of time and then convert over to whatever use. So we negotiated with them. It took 9 months, a lot of conversations back and forth, and finally, settled on a price and settled on terms. And we closed in October of 2023, and then actually took occupancy in January of 2024. So they took a couple of months to continue closing down the nursing home. And then we took occupancy once that was finally completed in the legal pathway they had to go through. And that's when we started our process of permitting and architectural plans, and looking at the inside of what kind of classes could we do. And I have to tell you, we're super excited. We have a computer lab, we have classrooms, we have a commercial kitchen. We're talking about job training and doing some specialized programming there to help people that, when they're coming out of shelter, that they're able to live productive lives again, go back to the rehoused world in a productive life. So we're super excited about it. I know we're in a little bit of a legal process here with the town. Everybody's just following the process that is before us, and we're confident that we're going to prevail. We know that the case law and the regulations are on our side, so it's just a timing game for us right now, and we're excited to get those families in there and get them settled and get back to our business at hand.
All right, awesome. Now, just to reemphasize as well, so you'd be holding on to the three other locations that you currently have, and then just be over the next couple of years or so converting those into short-term rentals, or do you think that's going to be a bit longer term than that? Just kind of wanted to make sure we have that down for the
Oh,
record, quote unquote.
yeah, not short-term rentals, year-round
Year
rentals.
round. My apologies. My
Year-round, yeah,
apologies.
they'll
I
become
got
year-round.
short term on the brain. We're here
Short-term,
talking about affordable housing.
yeah, no, we'll be doing that right away. I mean, the place, they're all ready to go. So this is part of our frustration, is that this delay in moving our families is really a delay in getting year-round housing open up and online. So
Sure.
that'll happen. That'll be able to happen pretty quickly.
All right, awesome. Now, but was it 150 individuals that could be housed at this location, or was it 150 families? I just wanted to make sure
It's
we
neither. It's 79 families.
79 families. Okay, that's excellent.
And a family can be a pregnant mother is considered a family, so it could be one person. The average is about 3 people in a family, but it could be a mom and 2 kids, or sometimes we have a two-parent household, but it's typically single mothers. There are single fathers, but it's typically people that don't have anywhere else to go, and one-parent households with a couple of kids.
Mhm. Now, you mentioned already I just kind of wanted to also talk a little bit more about the educational opportunities that was kind of emphasized along when you were proposing this. So like job training as well, but I think you mentioned like some like money management, like fiscal responsibility classes too. Can you just like elaborate more on the educational?
Well, the primary purpose of a shelter is education and training, and it's and that seems kind of counterintuitive to people, especially someone who's middle class or housed, where they don't understand, like, what possibly could you be needing to learn. And so I've been really thinking about this, of like, how do you explain kind of the unexplainable? How do you explain what people don't know? And if so, the families are really, it's taken years of a slow burn oftentimes, and a crises on a couple different fronts that have happened. So they have literally started like shutting down their options and not really they've been so stressed and so overwhelmed with either financial burdens or health burdens or mental health or divorce or domestic violence that it's very hard for them to be taking in new information or learning how to overcome the obstacles that are before them. And again, these are families where the shelter is their best option. So they're not families that have had that kitchen table where they grew up and had the family to call and had the goals that they learned how to get a job and learned how to save. And this is a different audience that we're talking about. They grew up with generational poverty. Um, they grew up with not a lot of resources, so there's a lot of basic skills that they just don't have, and why I can't explain it, but they just don't have it. And the closest analogy I could kind of think of is, imagine if your house caught on fire, right, and it burnt down. It's a horrific thought for a second, but just work with me on this analogy that all of a sudden you have to be displaced and you're moved into a shelter that's somewhere else. It's outside of your hometown. You have no one to call, no family to go to. You've got to go to the shelter. You're not going to know what to do. You're not going to know how to file your insurance, that you can get an adjuster, what kind of entitlements or benefits are available to you, how to apply for how to get an ID when you don't have an address. Like these are things that they just don't know how to do. And that's what we do, is we teach them how to re-enter the functioning working world. And so the skills are, yes, there's the classes on money matters and how to open a bank account. Like literally people don't know how to open a bank account, how to set up your app, how to set up your backup, what portion of your money should you be saving, what are you saving for, helping to set goals and think long term. And the reason it's connected with housing is because they need that safe, stable place that they can reset. There's no way anyone could learn and grow and hit reset living in a car, living outside, little ones that you're trying to feed and get going. So it's a great program, and we've had tremendous success. Some really great success stories of people who were in shelter and use that time to reset and open a business, reset, and now they're an RN. And this is the time where they got to hit reset, learn those kitchen table skills that, a good middle class family probably, had, of how to set goals, how to save money, how to get a job, and re-enter. So we're that family for them.
All
And
right, awesome.
can you hear my dog barking?
A little bit, but he's a good pupper, and we're always happy to have a special guest in on our on our segments. Sounds like a good boy. So while I had you as well, I wanted to ask a little bit. There's been some controversy, I suppose, about the some residents, some people on the planning board, the part of the town just they were a bit concerned that the shelter would primarily, as priority, basically being serving migrant families amid this ongoing huge increase in immigration that Massachusetts is seeing. Did you want to kind of take this opportunity to respond to some of those concerns that are a part of the public currently, for those who might not be might just be concerned about that being a possibility?
Well, absolutely. First of all, I have on our website, we put up some information and a video going into more detail about the project and who we serve. And it is really an unfortunate events, circumstance of events here, because we started planning for this back in 2020 when we did our strategic plan, and really looking again at our assets, what's the highest and best use, knowing we needed to be adding more year-round housing, knowing we had this increase in locals who are being displaced. How do we take care of them? Wanting to consolidate and find a bigger building for our shelters. So, um, I wish I could have found it back in 2020, 2021. We probably would have sailed right through and nobody really, bringing up the migrant issue. Now, obviously, it's a hot topic and of conversation pretty much every day in the news of our failed immigration system here in this country. And by no means is this in a way to address that. In no means did we ever start it to move immigrants from another country in. It's always only been about housing Cape Codders and giving Cape Codders who have to be displaced a really great location and place and education opportunity. The shelter, we're a victim of circumstance and timing, really, because we started planning for this back in 2020 when we did our annual our strategic plan, rather, and looking at the highest and best use of our assets. And we knew then that we had a shortage of year-round housing. We wanted to convert our shelters that we have into year-round housing, consolidate those families and those shelter units into one location so that we could have better programming, better education, and more opportunities for displaced locals. Um, we had no idea that there was this brewing immigration problem that was going to blow up in the news and get everybody concerned about the real intent of what we were doing, and the mission of Housing Assistance Corporation being compromised because we're housing migrants. It's the was has been and continues to be the furthest thing from our mind. The fact of the matter is we've had immigrants in our shelters all through the years. Probably some longtime locals can remember when we had people from Hurricane Katrina come up to our area and were living on Otis Air Base. That was housing assistance that served them. So, we have a history of dealing with people and serving people who are in crisis. We meet them where they are, help get them, set up for the next journey of their life. Never is it intended to be long term in our shelters. It's always transition housing. But our shelters are really intended for the people who live here. Our housing is intended for the people who live here. Many of us are immigrants or second generation, so we're all, none of us are too far from being, people who are new to the country and need resources and opportunities. But it's definitely intended for our Cape Cod base and the people who want to call this place home.
Mhm. All right. Now, as well, upcoming, we wanted to talk about the 50th anniversary for housing assistance, as well as talk a little bit about you guys welcoming Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll recently to talk more about the recently passed Affordable Homes Act. But is there anything else you want to add about the specifics of this facility while we're still on the topic?
Yeah, the specifics of this facility is, again, it's a really good opportunity for collaboration. We're looking forward to bringing other nonprofit partners in to be able to work on training with us and job training and provide services. Been talking about, bringing WIC in and bringing Family Table Collaborative in, and some other, agencies that deal with the same population, but now go to multiple locations to be able to go to one and really go deeper in our programming and case management and services for these families. So again, there's a lot of excitement in the social services arena and professionals about this, and with my staff they're very excited to have colleagues and have a bigger group of professionals with them at the table and on site. So I think it's gonna be a really good opportunity for us and for the community. And right now our shelters operate with no problems. People don't know they're there. We don't have police activity. So I am not worried about the size. We have fencing, we have 24-hour security, we have 24-hour staff. We take care of our buildings, we take care of our staff and our clients, and want to make sure that it's safe for everybody. So again, we're not concerned. We've been doing this for 30 years, and know what we're doing, have professional staff that are really looking forward to providing more augmented programming and services for these families.
All right. Thank you very much, Lisa, for talking with me a bit more about this ongoing facility. We'll definitely be staying tuned to learn more as the as things continue to unfold for that location on Love Lane in Dennis.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited about it. Thank you.